Shocking announcement from Congresswoman Greene. What went through your mind when you first heard she was going to resign on January 5th?
You know what? Honestly, I was like, you've got to be kidding me. You're on the other side of the president for 1 week and you can't take the heat. Imagine what it is to sit in my shoes, to not only be on the opposite side of him, but to have people like her who are constantly fanning the flames of hate. And imagine what those threats look like when you literally are someone like me. But at the end of the day, I know that I serve the people of Texas 30. And so my job isn't to be there and necessarily do whatever is going to make the president not be on my back, but instead is to focus on making sure that I can push forward with policies that are positive for Texas 30.
That was Representative Jasmine Crockett speaking out in light of Marjorie Taylor Greene's decision to resign after her blow-up with Donald Trump. To Crockett's point of what it's like to work in politics in 2025, I feel like I can speak to this issue with some small degree of authority. I feel less safe than I ever have. I get more threats, more insults, more hate than I ever have. And I'm a straight white guy who lives in California. I cannot imagine for a minute what it would be like to live in Jasmine Crockett's shoes, to be a black woman in Texas who constantly gets attacked by the President of the United States. I can say that I don't imagine that it would be easy or fun or especially safe. But that's what she deals with on a daily basis. Trump attacks Jasmine Crockett almost every day. And so it certainly is telling, to her point, that after 1 week of being on the receiving end of Trump's ire, that Greene calls it quits. Again, not to minimize what a week on the receiving end of Trump's ire would feel like, but how Greene feels now is how countless Democrats, including Crockett, feel every day as the result of this lunatic's attacks. And by the way, that lunatic is who Greene herself emboldened for years. It was fine then, but apparently when the leopard-eating faces party comes for your own face, then it's suddenly bad. In fact, I asked Jasmine Crockett about these threats during a recent live discussion that we had. Here's what she had to say. We are in a much different political environment than we have been in the past. And you know, I share the same thoughts about that. You know, I started doing what I do 10 years ago, and it was a much safer world than I think we're in right now. But how are you doing on that front in light of the fact that you're a public figure in a world where there's a lot of political violence going on, and that, you know, we have to look over our shoulders now in ways that we might not have had to before?
Yeah. So I minimize how much I know. I have no notifications on my phone. None. So I've got lots of followers on lots of platforms. And X is a cesspool of hell. Jesus Christ, it's so bad. It's so bad. So every once in a while I may look at the comments and just troll somebody or block them, because my block game's strong. You know, but for the most part, I just don't engage, especially since I know how many bot farms there are. I mean, we've engaged in conversations globally in bipartisan ways. The Republicans won't talk about it. Where a number of our modern day democracies are concerned about what usually China and Russia are doing, and they're usually using social media to interfere and to create kind of this environment. So I know that a lot of it is not real. But what they do is they're creating, again, kind of this alternate reality for some people, and it is becoming so real to the extent that there are people that get activated. Also, I'm a gun-toting Texan. I've never shied away from telling people that I got guns. So they can't ever be like, oh, she's one of them Democrats. I got a license to carry. That's number one. But also, you know, I come from a lineage of people that I know that they didn't risk their lives for me to then be able to be in a position of power and to be afraid. So we're very thoughtful. Poor Capitol Police is overwhelmed because of all the threats that kind of come in on so many of us. But, you know, and frankly, I trust Capitol Police, but I don't know how I trust some of these other agencies like the FBI, who would be charged with doing kind of the prosecutorial side of like investigations. Like basically Capitol Police is kind of like your police, they'll do enough and then they should technically be turning cases over to the FBI. And then, you know, ultimately the DOJ should be indicting. So like that's kind of, it's the follow through for me on those pieces that is pretty concerning. But I have told people over and over that, you know, they are not providing us the security that we should have. They don't provide us any, actually. The only way that you get like a detail is if you are in leadership in the House. And it's only like the top 2 or 3 on the Democratic side, and then it's some people on the Republican side. It has nothing to do with your threat level at all. It has everything to do with if you're in leadership. And so I have to raise money. But I'm always just so encouraged because, as I've told so many of my supporters, like, I've got your back and it's clear that you've got mine. And so those small dollar donations, they are adding up. But, like, literally, it's the people that are keeping me safe. And, yeah.
To watch the phone review of Jasmine Crockett, along with any other interviews or content more broadly, please make sure to subscribe to this channel. It is and always will be 100% free. Now, ironically enough, I also asked Jasmine Crockett specifically about her thoughts on Marjorie Taylor Greene, given that Greene was just beginning to publicly break from Trump when we had sat down. Here's what she said.
Because I've been asked about her so many times, and people ask me, you know, if I think she's unintelligent. And so, honestly, it's been weird because I'm like, girl, you connecting the dots. Because there are other Republicans like that I talk to that, you know, they send me a message on Signal, but our Signal chats don't get leaked. But that literally will tell me we know this is messed up. Like that will actually admit the reality of things, right? And even when everything happened with Charlie Kirk, there were, you know, one of the first members of Congress to reach out to me was a Republican to check on me and my safety because they even know how their people get. And I'm like, I wasn't nowhere near Utah. You know, but they don't connect dots very well, right? Like, so, you know, I was actually in committee with Marge. At the time, it was well documented where I was, but nevertheless, their response is, you know, to end up engaging in more death threats towards me because that makes sense. But anyway, so I say this all to say that Marge never comes across like one that gets it. So I'm trying to figure out what her angle is. Like, I appreciate what she's doing, generally speaking, because there are certain people that if I say it, which I've been saying half this stuff, they just won't listen because it's me, because of the messenger, right? But there are people that will listen to her. Same daggone message we've been trying to tell you, but whatever. So I appreciate that she is able to reach people that I would never reach because of the demonization of somebody like me, because of them trying to pretend that I'm unintelligent, just because of all the things that they've said about me, it has made it to where certain people would never be able to hear me. So I appreciate that part of it in this moment. Now, I also know that Marge wanted to run for Senate. Them poll numbers wasn't looking good. They wasn't looking good. They wasn't looking good. And so I think that they are really struggling even still right now on that Senate race. So I would not be surprised if she ended up ultimately deciding that she really is going to jump back into that race because her poll numbers were so bad, right? And the one guy that they thought was going to be amazing did that stupid launch video where he spelled Georgia wrong. He spelled Georgia wrong.
Honestly, that feels quaint.
I mean, I was
imagine
like,
a world where the worst offense a Republican could commit in 2025 was spelling a word wrong.
but I'm like, how many people on your team? Y'all all, you running to be the senator. Anyway, so I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, we just saw a little shakeup on the GOP side in Texas, where Wesley Hunt decided that he was going to jump in. Nobody told him to do that. He couldn't mind his own business. So now, Cornyn mad at him, and Paxton, I don't know, who knows, child, he's something else. So I don't know that I'm going to put it past Marjorie, because they still have a lot of time before they have their primary. And I am curious to see if she is able to move the polling so that she can become an actual viable candidate to run against Ossoff. That's my thought. It's my thought.
From Jews control the weather to moderate Marjorie Taylor Greene. What a journey we've seen. But look, top line here, my general thoughts are a bit conflicting, but here's where I'm at. First of all, if Greene wants to publicly acknowledge what the left has seen for so long, good on her. If it helps to think of it not as you agreeing with Greene, but as Greene agreeing with you, then so be it. But regardless, it is a good thing politically speaking if Marjorie Taylor Greene acknowledges that Trump lies, that Trump is not ushered in on his affordability agenda, that Donald Trump is protecting pedophiles by virtue of suppressing the Epstein files, that Trump's base of support will use violence as a political tool. I don't think political violence should ever be used by anyone of any political party, and I wholeheartedly condemn every person of every political affiliation who does use it. But to that end, let's not pretend that Greene herself didn't perpetuate the very system that she's now condemning. Here's a video that she released on January 5th, 2021.
Just finished with our meetings here at the White House this afternoon. We had a great planning session for our January 6th objection. We aren't going to let this election be stolen by Joe Biden and the Democrats. President Trump won by a landslide. Call your House reps, call your senators from your states. We've got to make sure they're on board, and we already have a lot of people engaged. Okay, stay tuned.
And of course, January 6th was marked by a violent insurrection, exactly the kind of violence that everybody knew was going to take place. I mean, Trump himself said of January 6th, "Be there will be wild." So while I sympathize with what Greene is going through right now, let's not sit here and pretend that she didn't help foster the very system that is turning against her. But with all of that said, the broader point here is that if anything is clear, it's that the GOP is in the midst of a tumultuous reordering right now. And it's the result of a lot of people recognizing the con that they've participated in for so long. So the more people that want to acknowledge that, frankly, the better off the entire country becomes. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. But second, the reality is that we are now in a political environment where this administration can lean on any of the social media platforms to suppress certain voices if they don't like critical coverage. That means my longevity here is in the hands of a few tech billionaires who are already making it clear that they are willing to cater to this administration. To that end, signing up for my newsletter is a way for me to reach you directly if that ever becomes necessary. I'll put the link right here on the screen as well, so please sign up. It's free, but there's also an option to do a paid subscription if you'd like to support me and my team. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.